And every time I go to the zoo, I get mad. Because those are our animals. It pisses me off. Lock up your shit. Lock up a goat. It pisses me off when I see all the lions and zebras, all that pretty African shit. You guys lock them up. And black folks, believe me, they belong to us. They try to disassociate us. They belong to us. Fuck some Ziegfeld and fucking Roy and Vegas and shit. That shit is ours. When I go to the zoo, I get mad. If you don't believe me, take 12 or 10 niggas to the zoo. Watch the animals. When they see that many black people, they get crazy. They think they going home. They start jumping up and shit and hopping. And when they see white people, they do like you. They just stare.
Here's a story for you. At the Simeon Mountains, this YouTuber, Tayo Aina, a Nigerian YouTuber, visited the Simeon Mountains where the baboons live. This is a picture that I took when I visited a zoo in South Korea where this baboon lives. This baboon is from the Simeon Mountains in Ethiopia. This shot shows the actual baboons not in captivity, in roaming free at the top, and then at the bottom in captivity at the zoo. And this shot shows the information board at the zoo in South Korea. So I visited this zoo in 2014 in South Korea with a South Korean friend of mine. And at the time, I hadn't traveled to Ethiopia. I was just there to have a good time and just, enjoy the day. Well, that baboon that you see in the video, this baboon here, had some visceral response to my presence, because as you can see, there's a glass wall between the onlookers and the animals. But that particular baboon, when it noticed me, of all people there, the animal charged at me. Now, the glass only separated us, and the baboon hit the glass, and the animal then, basically licked its wounds and then proceeded to charge at me again. And the animal did this repeatedly for at least 3 or 4 different times, where it would see me, charge at me, hit the wall, hit the glass, and then lick its wounds, and then repeat. Now, I have to say, I was the only black person, the only African American, the only person of color, standing in front of that glass window when this occurred. Or perhaps even on that particular day, I was the only black person at that zoo in South Korea. All of the other guests were South Koreans. So that happened. Now, I cannot speak to whether this baboon just has a reaction to, people who look differently than others, than the majority of the guests. That may very well have been the case. Or the baboon was saying, "Hey, brother, come take me back to Ethiopia. You look like an Ethiopian. Take me back." That's one interpretation. Or the other interpretation is the baboon was angry that he had been captured by Ethiopians and brought to South Korea, where he lived now in captivity. And he was like, "Man, I ought to beat you up for capturing me and bringing me to South Korea. I want to go back home. And you brought me here. I'm going to kick your butt." Well, that's the other interpretation, both of which I don't know why it happened. It could have just been, odd man out, like that game. Which one which one of these is not like the other? The baboon noticed that I was not like the others and charged at me. But again, I don't know what the charge was. Was the charge out of love, or was it out of anger and frustration? I don't have a clue. But that is actually something that happened to me. And I find it very interesting that it was an Ethiopian baboon that had this visceral response to my presence in South Korea. That's my story. Hope you enjoyed it. Peace. Here's an addendum to this video. This is the signpost that provides information to the guests at the zoo. And it says that this baboon comes from Ethiopia, Somalia, Saudi Arabia, and Yemen. So now that all of these are possibilities of, the baboon's origin, that lends itself to some even, some different interpretations. Now, initially, I assumed that it was that the baboon was from Ethiopia, but if you look at the video, you can tell that there are differences from the baboons in the video that were taken by Tayo Aina and the videos that I took. There's a clear difference between the two baboons. So the question is, if this baboon were from Somalia, what was its beef? Was the beef, hey, I don't like Ethiopians, I'm charging at you? That could possibly be it, because Ethiopians and Somalians have had beef in the past, even though I wish them both well. And then there's the Saudi Arabian version. What was that all about? Hey, I'm a Saudi. I don't like you Black Americans. I doubt that would be the case, but who knows? And then finally the Yemen, But here's an interesting twist about 109. I discovered that Ethiopia, Saudi Arabia, and Yemen were all part of the same empire years ago, the Aksumite Empire. Now, if that monkey was saying, hey, brother, you are a member of the Aksumite Empire, and you need to know this, and you need to reconnect, and this needs to be a memorable experience for you, then gosh darn it, that baboon communicated that idea to me precisely, because now I know. Now I know more about the Aksumite Empire than ever before. Now I know more about Ethiopian history. I've lived in Saudi Arabia, and I've never been to Yemen, but all of that, that fertile crest, that Nile Valley civilization, all of that from which humanity, comes, is, in the forefront of my mind these days. It's no longer hidden, the hidden colors.